Hi, everybody.
Hello. Welcome back to Strange Hungers. We return to the city of Aethrai on a cool night, the evening, where our party has found themselves in two separate, distinct, and entertaining locations. The Pocklefest Theater, where the poorly players put on a parody show telling the story of Sir Feverfew and the Worm. And the Cordial Duxor, a casino for the rich and powerful, where strange faces and new faces combine. We are beginning right back in initiative. And I would love for anyone who would like, I just need one person to do it, to roll a d4 for me and add 1, and tell me what that number is.
Nope, we just got it.
3.
Is that with the +1? Got it, 3. Okay. I believe we last left off at the end of the order. For those who weren't with us here last time, I'm just going to run through initiative, just to let you guys know what the order is. We'll begin with Kiara, and then, as I mentioned, on initiative count 20 and 15, the past reemerges in the form of flashbacks. Taz acts, then the Vanguard, who are stationed around the theater and the casino, then Owesh and their familiar Darren, then Matthias, and then Barden. We're all in multiverse. The show that is being performed in the Sand Pit, the theater here. Sir Feverfew has just cut her way through the large, dark worm. The head of the creature being played by a obviously half-drunk actor, running in circles, the monster seeming to flee and chase our hero simultaneously, as other actors raise torches, call out echoing, hissing noises, strange sounds, and the audience grows more and more rowdy. Kiara, you sit next to Matthias and Barden. Is there anything you would like to do as you're watching this show?
I think Kiara's just like wide-eyed into this performance. I assume it's a different style of acting and performing than Kiara's used to, so I think I don't know if they would know what is and isn't good or like normal. So they're just like, oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Lovely. All right. On initiative count 20, we return to the barge, setting off from the coast, Port Oostenwald, with its low lights, lanterns hanging, and a bell that has just chimed to tell the attendants of this party it is time to descend down into the depths for an auction. Owesh, you've seen First Rain make her way down. Plutarch Moriat descending as well, with his hand still on your elbow.
Wish follows, gaining obedience, and keeps an eye out for First Rain.
All right. You step your way down into the ship. There are, as I've mentioned, a variety of other characters who are attending this auction here. As you step into the room, pushing through red velvet curtains that have been hung over the entrance to the downstairs area, you can see a variety of elegant seating. Looks like it's been strapped or nailed down so it doesn't shift with the movement of the boat. Plush seating, and a small stage in the center here. Lanterns hanging, ropes dangling, and a curiously small a gnome with sort of this dark fur and a very pale face who's standing on the stage. Behind her is a sort of small table with another red velvet red velvet cloak sort of draped over it, and you can see boxes, sort of, lumps under it, hiding whatever is sat on this table. People begin to file in, taking seats, and Moriat directs you to sit next to him in the front row of these circled chairs around. You do see First Rain standing towards the back of the room opposite you, so she can make eye contact.
For just the briefest of smiles. Not really an actual smile. Yeah, perfect. But then look at Moriat and say, excellent seats.
Yes, reserved for me.
And do we know what we're here for? Or do we only have rumors of it?
You've heard a few rumors of different things that might be in this auction, but the main event, the most significant item, is kept secret. So you're not sure exactly what the item is. You just know that you and Rain are here to try and acquire it by whatever means are necessary.
Fantastic. I feel pretty confident about my position with Moriat right now. So Awaish is going to, as they sit down, try to make a really quick casing of this room for entrances, exits, etc.
Got it. Because this has happened in the past already, as I've said before, you don't necessarily need to roll for it. We're just using generally your capabilities in these missions that you've been going on for years. So the entrance behind you that you just descended down is the main one, but usually in ships like this, there tend to be more than one exit or entrance in case there's some kind of flooding or some kind of disaster with gunpowder. So sort of like looking around, there are a few ladders, probably 3 ladders that are set that go back up to other parts of the deck, sort of deeper. The main lighting that they set up here is to highlight the stage, so it's darker in the seating, but you do note those other exits.
Fantastic. We shall wait for Moriat to sit down, and then sit down next to him, wait for a moment, and then push out their own leg to weave it around his very subtly.
There's a sort of a pleased chuckle that comes from next to you. And then we return to the present. Tazriel. You're still sitting next to this woman who is playing this interesting game, sort of a roulette game where they're sliding salt pieces across the table. You just determined that it looks like there's something about this that is rigged in some way. The motions that they're making are performative, same pattern to the way that they're rolling these salt orbs. And I believe you know or saw, since you had said you were trying to keep an eye on them, that Awaish had just stepped into the back room. What are you doing?
Having realized that this game, the chance of this game isn't there, Taz is going to lean in, suggestively, like I'm about to proposition them. I believed we could have had a lot of fun together, but this game of make-believe you're playing has lost my interest. And I'm going to get up and head over to the bar, but while I'm doing that, I'd love to make a sleight of hand check to try, while I'm leaned in that just to have a couple of those salt wars, just a couple.
Yeah, you see that pleased smile she was wearing when she glanced over at you falter. You can give me a sleight of hand check.
Okay, come on. 22.
22. Absolutely. You lean in, her smile falters, and as you pull away, you can slip the pouch that she had into your pocket.
A whole pouch? Did I just take the whole pouch? Oh my
If you want to, you got a 22. Her perception check was a 4. So if you don't want to take the whole pouch, you don't have to. But you can take the whole pouch.
Do it, you coward.
It's up to you.
Don't call me a coward! Azrael's not stupid!
That's true. That's true. I don't want to assume that you would take. But you could grab like a few, sort of slip your fingers in lightly and pull back a few orbs, or you could slip the whole pouch out if you'd like.
Shit. I'm gonna take a few. I'm gonna take like 5.
Okay. All right. So just mark down that you took 5 salt orbs. You're not sure exactly what the values are at this point, but you took 5 of them.
Look out, dog.
All right. You step your way over to the bar. The guards in the crowd. Luckily. Wish. You are sitting at the table in the back room of the Cordial Duxor. Right next to Plutarch, Simon Lovelace. As you look around the table, 6 other figures besides you, and 2 empty seats. He's seated at the head of the table, facing the pile of gold salt orbs. Glasses of wine. There are a few cards, as I mentioned, on this table. Everyone who's sitting here has placed their little token, the one that you were given, in front of them. There's good-natured chatter that's going on. As you look around, he is an elf. There are 2 humans, 2 other elves, and 1 tiefling at this table. Some of them... Yes, go ahead.
Just reaches forward and places their token on the table.
Looks like they're waiting for another moment, seeing if anyone else will step in. The tiefling sort of leans forward. He messes around with his cards a little bit and says, "Almost ready to begin again." There's a few, well, all right. And then reaches sort of across the table. You see this like green velvet here. Reaches towards the center, and there's a sort of like a soft click and a hiss, and then the pile of gold in the middle ascends up. There's like some kind of mechanism in the center of the table where it rises. And I need you to make, let's see what this is. I think it's a wisdom saving throw for me.
God. Bitch. Wisdom?
Actually, sorry, charisma saving throw, not wisdom.
It's not for being charmed, right?
No.
Okay. That's a 17?
A 17. You do not fall under the effects of the Zone of Truth spell that is being cast around this table.
Excellent.
But you can feel some kind of magic wash over you with that hiss, something that's been activated, some kind of mechanism around this table. Glancing around, you can see, looks like most people here were expecting it. They're sort of like faces that become a little bit more steeled, good-natured expressions that drop down into concentration and focus. And the Plutarch begins to speak, since you had asked before about how to play this game. Sorft looks to the side. Sorft is a game of gambling. We enter a temple. Each room requires a way to buy into it. The person who offers the least is out. The person who offers the second least takes the pot. But the person who offers the most gets to set a new rule for the game.
High stakes.
The most.
Wish holds the gaze a little longer than they should, and then turns back to the table.
Next in the order. Darren is in your pocket. You hear in your mind, I think they're all, well, a bunch of them have things up their sleeves. Some hand motions under the table as well. I don't think a single person doesn't have a trick they're planning to pull. From his blind sight, he can...
Yeah, Away says it's not... That's... Game is less important now.
Do you want me to... That one? Oh, okay. I'll keep my eye on him. Matthias and Barton, you're still watching the show. You can sense around you the crowd getting rowdier. The worm, this severed head, flopping into the sand, begins to grow. More dark tendrils sprouting from it. And you see the fabric that was cut in two, the player who's carrying it around sort of unfurls or unties some kind of hood that they've been wearing, and more dark strands of black fabric shoot out from behind them and flap as they're running. The worm grows once again, and Feverfew falters, pauses. The orc pauses, the blade still held aloft. The narrator, the assistant, steps forward between the two paused figures, gestures out to the audience. But tell me, does Sir Feverfew fear?
No!
No! No! Never! Never. The audience shouts, buoyed by Barton's call. And the orc, never. I never fear a monster. The head of the worm steps back. She steps forward. And they begin to dance, almost, in this pattern, stepping across the sand pit. Moving back and forth. Each time, the worm steps back just a little bit less. She steps just a little bit more forward. Until they are close enough to kiss. And then, we are back to the top of the order.
I'd like to say,
Yes.
sorry, just before that, as all the story's going on, Barden is telling Taz everything. Through their psychic connection, just like, oh, they just caught the worm in half, and it's just like two lads in a freaking blanket, and they're just running around, and that's just everything that is just happening.
Top of the order. 3. Kiara. Still your turn, taking part in that story. If there's anything else you'd like to add? Alright.
No.
And I did realize there was one thing I missed, so I will do it here. But, Tazriel, as you pull those salt orbs and step towards the bar, you are reminded once again, pulled ceaselessly down into the memory of this warm, hot, sweltering atmosphere in the depths of a seedy bar in the Empire, where you and your partner, Belhiri, have been staking out the members of the Zahirat Syndicate. You were playing a dexterous game, so you sat around. Most people down here look to be of some kind of infernal ancestry, so you and Belhiri do fit in with your horns, their flaming hair, as well as the hearths and the tables. The door that you had descended down had clicked behind you. Even though you are quite used to the warm temperatures of the Empire, especially adapted to them, you would say you can feel the atmosphere grow even more oppressive with that door shut. Look over to Valhiri, who's sitting and chatting at another table, using her natural charisma to slip her way into conversations, as she is adept at doing. But you still feel yourself sweating. After another few moments, conversations, people talking quietly, towards one of these hearths, one of the figures who's kneeling with a cloak over their head, so you can't really make them out, throws the hood back, straightens up, and you can see deep, rich purple skin, light freckles, shaved head, missing their eyes. Turns away from the fire. Are we ready to begin, friends? Comes the low voice. The games pause. Belhiri glances towards you. Yes. I think it's time. That figure straightens up, stands up. The cloak drops from their shoulders. Stepping towards the center of this room. There's a few laughs that begin. Sighs of excitement. Person shoves in an abrupt movement some of the card games and knives off of one of these scratch tables and lays down upon it. And other figures begin to step towards them. What do you do?
I look at Valhiri and give like kind of like a look that's trying to communicate when in Rome. I think we have it's like it's my turn to do something distasteful so we don't blow our cover. And so I'm like stepping. I want to say I'm stepping forward with the ones that are stepping forward right now, but like the last one, like slightly, like trailing behind, but still obviously making a movement forward.
Got it. She sort of hesitates back by the hearth. Not everyone's stepping towards the table, but you step up so you can see as you approach this figure. Their skin is pockmarked, scarred, light burns on the arms as well as the face. But then we're pulled back into the present. As I said, Kiara, your turn. Taz, you step towards the bar.
Yeah, and I go up to the barman. I believe you have a token for me.
Polishing a glass. If you're joining the table towards the back, it's a bit high stakes. Might need to buy your way in.
I'm gonna fuck me. How much are these salt orbs? Nah, I'm just gonna pull out I'm just gonna pull out my own gold. I'm gonna pull out 20. I'm gonna pull out 20 gold and just high stakes.
You slip that to him. You do not need to make a persuasion check in this case because Oash had already persuaded this bartender to let you in as well. So he slips you one of these little resin tokens and gestures to the curtain.
And I head that way.
All right. You push your way inside as well. See the same table, curtains, and can take one of the empty seats. Now, I believe, just checking, Oash, you had sat next to Plutarch Lovelace? All right. So, Taz, there is an open seat sort of across the table from Oash. There are 2 open seats, and then there's one to the far end, sort of across from Lovelace.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the one on the far end.
As Taz enters, Oash gives him a look, not like a look, but a very practiced, oh, someone's entering the room, I don't know that person, goes back to it. Very much like giving the signal that, like, I don't know you, you know?
Mm-hmm. Sorry, just a question. Did you drop our...
No.
Okay. Yes, I'll like just look around, note everybody and like, oh, people here, and sit.
Okay. Taz sits down and, peeping back into the past, once again. The gnome on the stage in the boat by Port Houston Vault. Welcome, my friends. So glad to have you all here. We have quite a show in store for you tonight. Sweeps the velvet off of this table. There are gasps, murmurs of excitement. You can see sort of a tank sat on this table, full of water, some kind of tentacled, barnacled, pulsing creature within it. As well, a tiny key of black metal that's sat on a little cushion. A folded pair of wings, bleeding, wrapped with rope. And in the center, on a little pedestal made of silver, a single seed.
How do I know about all these things? Just by looking at them.
Just by looking at them. I think in this case, I will take a history check.
Makes a lot of sense. That's completely valid. History, is that what I'm proficient in? I have to check.
Mm-hmm.
Blah, blah. Okay, yes. Hey, Alex.
Yeah.
That's a 25.
Wizards and their lore. That seed. You think the color, the way that it is highlighted, the fact that it's in the center of the table suggests that it is the most valuable thing there. And there are only certain kinds of seeds that would be treated with such reverence. This is a seed from an Ungekwan heart spine, a kind of tree that only grows deep in the wild, tainted woods at the edge of the Empire that stretch their way, growing across the continent of Senelji. This is a seed to plant the wild anywhere. Very dangerous. The creature, likely something from the depths, possibly a young baby monster of some kind that could be trained, reminds you of some glimpses you might have caught through the porthole windows of Elkhorn. larger creatures, barnacled, tentacled, that pass through the ocean as they guard the inhabitants of the Gulch, the deep underwater prison. That key, you've actually probably heard some of the criminals talk about something like this. A key that opens any lock. And the pair of bleeding wings, well, with a 25, you have a feeling they could be stitched on to someone, used in some way, likely cut off or removed from some kind of celestial creature.
Weish reaches down to the side of them that is not the side of Moriat, knowing that many Plutarchs understand what she is about to do and does not want to give themselves away. And signs in Thieves' Cant to First Reign that the key and the seed are the most valuable items to us.
Mm-hmm. See, she reaches up, sort of touching her horn, adjusting the lapels of her suit jacket, signing back to you that she's paying attention. She takes your point. Moriat leans forward, sort of kicks at your foot a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. The gnome says, "Shall we begin the bidding?" And then back in the present. Wish. It is your turn again. As we begin to play our game. The gold that's risen here in the center of the table begins to shift and forms, melts, restructures itself into a squat golden model of a temple. Could you also make a charisma saving throw for me as you sat down at this table and you are now in the realm of the ongoing Zone of Truth?
Does everyone seem to be, while Taz is making this save, does everyone seem to be very quiet and focused, or is there still cross conversation happening right now?
Right now, very quiet and focused.
Okay.
I'm going to use my Iron Will ability to add to this roll.
Yes.
Come on. Okay, I think that'll do it. 15?
15 is enough. Yes, that is the DC. So that means you, I believe you do spend your dice since you've made that save.
I do.
So neither you or Oash are affected by the Zone of Truth. You're not sure who else is affected by it, but you also recognize the effect of that spell once you sat down. Mm-hmm. Sorft, as I've said, is a gambling game of a temple crawl. There are 8 players at the table. Oash, you are number 7. Taz, you are number 8. Each time we play around, you offer a certain amount of whatever else is being offered. You can begin to pick up like what people are putting down. The first round is gold. The first round is monetary value. If you are the lowest, you are dropped. If you are the second lowest, you win and take the entire pot. But if you are the highest, you do gain some kind of advantage for the next round. So it is a game of insight, of trying to tell, how much people are generally spending, if they're trying to keep the pot low, dealing in smaller increments, or if they're all going to be spending very, very high. So each of you, because you're sort of acting together, I'm going to compound your initiative a little bit, and we'll just do rounds of this game for the two of you. If you want to use this action to take any kind of insight, perception check, etc., you can do that, Oash, and then Taz will get to do it as well.
Okay. All I want to do in this moment is I want to use Darren's blind sight to try to see if Lovelace has any kind of, not even necessarily pertaining to this game, any kind of magical effects on him.
Got it. Interesting. So Darren's blind sight acts more like echolocation in some ways. So you're looking
Right.
for some kind of item, more likely in this case. If you are
Yeah.
just trying to gauge if he has any magical effects going on, that would be probably your arcana.
Right.
not
Yeah.
Darren's.
So that is perfect.
Mm,
I will use my arcana.
go for it.
I don't have detect magic prepared. Yes, I do. But that'd show itself. It's verbal and somatic.
Mhm.
I'm gonna marry this die. I'm gonna take it out for a really nice dinner. And right at dessert, it's gonna be drinking the champagne and there's gonna be a ring at the bottom of the glass. It's a natural 20.
A natural. Oh my god. You guys have been rolling so well in this heist encounter. You know Plutarchs. Awish. Many of them, even if they're not inherently magical, often do have the money to purchase some kind of protection or item. So, looking over Lovelace, the red heart on his suit, very carefully, just sort of glancing when you have a chance, looks like it's lightly embossed with some kind of runes. So, some kind of protection spell, probably abjuration, stitched into that. As well, a few rings on his fingers, also likely arcane in some nature. And I'm calling this... This is sort of the general insight of a wizard who knows how people who are magical carry themselves when they feel protected, even though they're not bearing a weapon. Darren can tell you that he is not bearing a weapon. He does have the cane leaning against the table, but he is proud, carefree, comfortable. You do think it's likely he has some kind of backup if he needs. Probably magical.
Which won't do anything for now. We'll just wait for conversation to pick back up to engage with him.
Okay. Let's see. Your turn. People around this table. Yes, because there's Oish, Darren. The cards that are sitting around here, you can see there are a few scattered in front of you. Each of the people around this table takes a card. A few of them pull out quills. Some of them pick up quills from where they've been lying on this table and begin to write on these cards. Amounts, numbers, and then slide them forward again. The cards sort of float up next to this temple, the little temple structure, and stick to it like they're being magnetized.
We have to put forward a bet, don't we?
Yeah.
Okay. I spent my turn not trying to figure out how much money people had put on it, but you know what? That feels right.
Yes. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay. All right. Lovely. That is Taz, Matthias, Barden, and Kiara. The show continuing. The two figures close. Sir Feverfew, blade in hand, has wound her way, dancing closer to the fangs, the mouths of this dark worm. The winds pick up, and the howls of the wine dunes call out. Some of the musical instruments in the back, although again they haven't been playing very well. There's sort of like a bow is being dragged across string instruments to create an uncomfortable, jarring noise. The audience picks it up, hissing softly, in a way that is genuinely unsettling. And the worm, the actor playing the worm, reaches forward and grabs her around the waist and dips her. A few audience members scream as the fabric overhead comes down, covering the two of them. Pause. Someone in the front row, sort of scooting back a little bit. And then the sword rips through the fabric. And it falls away, revealing that the actor who's playing the worm has fallen down into the sand, is covered in some kind of red liquid. And then there are some chuckles, some laughs, as a broken wine bottle rolls out from under their cloak. There's
I know.
Strangely intimate. I don't.
Question for y'all: where was Kiara? How were we seated?
I think that we're like middle of the rows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are middle on the left here.
Yeah,
And then
middle up.
between the three of us, how are we seated?
I'm in
Alice
the
is on the
aisle.
outside. I'm in the middle.
You're in the middle, okay. So Kiara definitely, while all this dramatic stuff was happening, was variations of nails into Barden, and like definitely chuckled and relaxed because, yeah, she's into this. She's like, "Is it blood? It's probably not blood. Is it blood? I don't know."
I can't help but feel as though they've taken a few liberties.
I think so. Do they mean to say that she kissed it? Or am I just interpreting it wrong?
No.
Like, that looked like a kiss.
I think it kissed
I mean, who wants to kiss a
all of
bone?
her. It kissed
Like, yeah.
her.
I think it was supposed to be eating, but also
Romantically?
Like a kiss.
maybe they're playing to a very specific subsection of this crowd.
Can I have a look-see and see if anyone's really enjoying this?
Yeah, sure.
Check to see if anyone's
give
really
me an
into
insight
it,
check.
like two.
Who's really into it?
Speakers in the crowd.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Insight.
Please, take it away.
You look and you see a non-binary person with short brown hair who just seems like really, really into it. And it's like
really-
rushing the stage.
That's a 15.
A 15. Yes.
Good.
God, yes. They're
Oh
blushing.
man.
Wait. Again, as I said, like
starting kind of
rowdy,
just-
tipsy.
Over Kiara's face, just like, don't look that way.
I was gonna say, can Kiara make an insight check on Barden and Matthias to see if they're enjoying this?
We don't need to.
God.
I'll just
Question, Matthias.
Come on, coward.
He looks confused. He looks confused.
Yeah, about the same.
Bewildered.
Okay.
that will be enough. But we're back to the top of the order. 2. Back in tavern, Taz. You step up. A few people around this table, other tieflings, or as I've said, people of infernal ancestry, still playing with the daggers. Some laughs, some chuckles. Again, the hearth's growing brighter. The figure who's lying on the table begins to hum. A few of them pick it up. But sort of a delight, a pleasure here. And once again, although we are back in the past, will you give me an insight check, Tazriel?
That is a 7.
7. So you're not sure exactly what's going to happen here. There's definitely a sense of dread that is kind of emerging in you. You definitely know you are standing among members of the Zahirit Syndicate, those who worship not Bane, the most prevalent god here in the Empire, but a darker form of Bane, the Lord of Sacrifice. One of the reasons that you and Valhiri have been scouting out this group, because the Empire is displeased with those who would take the name of their most highly worshipped god and use it as an excuse for darker deeds. So you're not sure what's going to happen, but there is a sense of dread. The figure, still humming, reaches out, the hand scrabbling blindly, and someone places a dagger into it. And even though you're standing towards the back, you're close enough to see as the members of the Syndicate begin to serve themselves dinner.
I'm gonna throw one more look at Valhiri, and it's like a do we keep quiet or do we go loud with this kind of look?
Valhiri is sort of blanched a little bit. You know that they're not usually, they don't have a weak stomach or anything, but this is a uncomfortable scene, especially since the person on the table seems to be enjoying it. So knowing them as well as you do, you can tell that they are waiting for your call to spring into action. As soon as you take some kind of movement, they are bursting to do that.
So I don't think I have like my psi abilities quite where I have them now at this point in our thing. So I'm just pulling out my like 2 favorite like nicely engraved daggers and just I think I'm going for damn it. Who though? The purple tiefling that seemed to have started this whole thing. Like everything got like this when they got down here.
Got it. So the purple figure on the table was the one who had sort of started this. Are you going for them, or are you going for one of the like first people who had stepped towards the table?
Yeah, that's right. They're on the table already. One of the people that stepped toward the table. I'm not trying to. If they let me if I'm able to take them out without killing them, I'll try non-lethal damage. But if that's not an option here, obviously I'm not against putting an end to this. But yeah.
Okay. You burst forward, daggers slipping into your hands, pushing towards this figure who is already dripping with blood from their mouth. Valhiri springing forward at the same moment. The fire from their hair growing brighter, matching the hearth here. You see they also pull out 2 short swords. And you go to work. Carefully, dexterously, non-lethally as you've requested. Blood spilling across the floor, joining the blood of this figure. Back into the present moment. Also checking in with everyone. How are we doing? I know that was a bit of an intense scene. We're all feeling good? Okay. Would you guys like a break now, or should we wait a little bit for it? Keep going?
Keep going.
All right. Then we push forward. Taz and Awaish. Back at the table. Place your bets. Taz, if you would like an insight check or a perception check to see if you can gauge what people are writing down, well, I will happily give that to you before you tell me the amounts you're putting in.
Yeah. Okay.
Keep myself honest. I'm gonna send mine to you right now so that I'm not influenced by.
Oh, that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so would I'd like to try and like see like on the papers themselves. Like I think that would be my best bet.
All right.
So I think that's perception, and I'm gonna like power. Okay. Oh, that's good. Dirty 20. Don't even have to use my die.
God damn, y'all out here.
I don't know what's happening.
You are
Love of
being
my life.
blessed. I'm doing everything I can to stress y'all out, and the dice are saying, "Don't worry, got you, besties. It's all good." Yes. So it's important that you did get as high of a roll as you did, because this perception check it also requires a certain kind of skill to look without people notice that you're looking, and you can tell by the way that the conversation is quieted down, the way that everyone is intensely focused, that they're all trying to do the same thing without letting people know they're trying to do the same thing. This is a high stakes table of potential cheaters. But you do catch a few glimpses just of like some of the numbers or some of the cards that are being written in. Because you're across the table from Lovelace, Oash, and the other tiefling, you don't get to look at what they're doing, but you do see that the two humans, because they're sitting closer to you, looks like they have written down amounts. One of them has written down 10 platinum, the other has written down 50 platinum.
Oh, fuck me. Oh god, that is so much money. We really dove into this shit.
High stakes.
Holy shit. Okay. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm just conveying what I just saw to Oash in my head, and then I'm going to do 10 platinum is 100 gold. So I'm gonna do 101.
Clever. Very clever. You write that down.
Yeah.
Let's see. 101. Okay. You each pass in your cards. They stick to the temple, and it spins and sinks down a little bit. There's a pause, a moment, before some people begin sort of whisper and speak again. Like a minute here, where they're just sort of talking casually, the faces drop like they're waiting for something to be calculated or determined. You hear next to you Taz, again with the same perception check. The human whispers to an elf, sort of condescendingly, like, "Never get tired of this game. Bleeding me dry, but... ooh, the temptation." If there's something you wanted to say, Awaish, now the conversation picked back up, it's a good moment to do it.
After Awish puts their card in, they look back over at Simon and go, "Give me Plutarch." Yes.
Yes.
I recognize the insignia. I attended a school close to there.
You are a student of Elkhorn? You are also far from those waters.
Found yourself fairly far yourself, yes?
Well,
Coincidence.
I suppose there are many interesting people who are visiting a Thrive for the Arch Gathering. I like to be where things are interesting.
Get up to much interesting work over on the coasts? Awaish gives a small smile.
Will you give me a deception check? This is
Yeah.
hmm.
Yeah. No,
Deception.
I think you're right with deception.
Yeah,
'Cause
it's how
they're
much
not
you're
deceiving with their words, like what they're
No.
literally saying, but they are deceiving with the fact that they don't know him and are not.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 14 on the die. My deception is a plus. Oh, where's my deception? +3. So that's a 17.
God damn.
This guy sucks. Let me be good.
Yeah. He rolled a 17. I will say this though. Taz, because you are psychically linked with Awaish, I think. Oh wait, no, you can't use your psionic ability to add to other people's ability checks, can you? Just this one. All right. Well, since they do match.
Okay.
Usually, it's the one who's contesting, but it's close enough that he's not picking up a lot from you, but he is eyeing you with an intense curiosity. You've piqued his interest in some way. Plenty of interesting business. I'm sure if you've attended Elkhorn, you know some of the business that me and my kin can get up to. So there's a reason I find myself here at the Docksor with money to spend.
Successful venture.
Hmm.
I confess I don't know too much about present business of the Plutarchs. It's been many years since I attended.
Well, it is a pleasure to make your acquaintance then. You can call me Simon.
Simon. You may call me Awaish.
Back in initiative. Matthias, pardon, Kiara. Ooh. Sir Feverfew steps away from the fallen body of the worm, holds her arms up to the crowd, and takes a clumsy, drunken bow.
Just a nice, hefty round of applause from Matthias.
There are,
Kiara too. Kiara had a great time. This was great. We love this.
there are shouts, cheers from the crowd. Some people begin to stand up. You see other actors who had played the body of the worm, who had like moving around a little bit, and sort of like picking up and scuffing over the sand where it was disturbed. Some musicians are still like playing a little bit, like playing off towards the end. People taking bows. And then I think it would be passive perception. Barden, with your passive perception, obviously you were paying close attention to the theater here and the show. Looks like there are a crowd of audience members a little bit closer towards the stage who are like So clapping and cheering and standing up, but you can tell little stage actually as they're like cheering, waving. One of them like stumbles into that curtain and tugs on it a little bit, just generally sensing that there are some audience members here who are a little bit out of it.
Real messy.
Real messy.
Are the guards paying attention?
Yes, they are. They're still acting there, but they're standing outside of the theater. There's no one in the actual like auditor, amphitheater.
Okay.
But you sort of like, looking back, some Vanguard who are maybe stepping like towards the seating. End of that initiative count. 1. Yara, your turn at the top of the order.
I think we're still in like clapping and
clapping.
yeah.
Few guards step onto the sand. You can see them as you're looking around, and then you hear a call over the noise of the audience. Familiar voice. Scream of rage. Flame Sire! I know you are here. Where? Calling from far away.
Kiara's immediately going to drop into the aisle, like slide down. We're going down, and yelling timber. But
What's up? What are you doing?
Hovering her hands over Kiara, just like, are you hurt?
No, I just dropped an earring.
Oh. We can find it, and Matthias is gonna get down and start looking for an earring. What does it look like?
No, it's okay. I got this. Just. All right. What's everybody else in the crowd doing at this point?
Getting rowdy.
Okay. Well,
Someone's gonna step on it. I'll stand up again and try and like make sure that nobody steps on Kiara while she's looking for her earring.
Rather basically hooks her like over Kiara and gets on the other side of her just to get her other side.
Okay.
Just so she's sandwiched between them now, just like two big boys, just making sure the little one doesn't get squished.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah, and Kiara's gonna look for an earring for the rest of the round.
Okay.
Oh my god. Shit. Did the rest of us hear that one call that was like, Flame Sire?
Yeah. Could we make the connection?
Hear that?
Well, here's the thing. The reason particularly that I point out that Kiara would have noted it is because there's so much other noise going on that a particular voice that you don't recognize wouldn't stand out to you. People are shouting different things. Kiara has been looking out for this voice since she heard it earlier.
Yeah.
So that's why she picks it up. Yeah.
Oof.
All right.
Rest in peace, buddy.
Hey.
Rip in fucking pieces.
Back in the past, Taz, you and Vilhiri are mowing down, carefully, members of the Syndicate. They are... It's a little too easy to take them out, take them down. Most of them fall with expressions of ecstasy on their face, chewing, distracted, divine, sacred pangs of joy and delight that even as you knock them unconscious, or even as Valhyri tears their hands away from the figure on the table, they fall in worship, having partaken in their holy sacrament. After just a minute or so, the room goes quiet again. The blind figure seems to be trying to cry. Hard to do without tear ducts. And the fires, grown so bright, calm down again. And the room is quiet, save for Valhyri's labored breathing, the sort of gasping, racking sobs that are coming from the purple figure, and occasional dripping noises as blood pools through the wooden boards at the bottom of this tavern.
Jesus. Tazriel's gonna motion for Valhyri to like come closer to the table, and I'm just making an assumption that we have like, you know, standard field bandages and stuff. Like if something happens, we can just okay, like tying up the more major parts that have been cut off, trying to staunch the bleeding, because I want to talk to this person. Like we have. I'm just like,
here. You begin to wrap those bandages. Valhyri brushes, 2 fingers light, like brushes a hand across one of the larger wounds and cauterizes it so it stops bleeding, helping you with a medicine check here in the past. And the figure's sobs calm down a little bit. Why did you stop? Why did you stop? They say.
And there's like a long, like just silent, and I'm just like looking at Valhyri with like the look of like, how do I fucking answer that question? It's but then I turn back to the person on the table. Look, I understand worshiping something with all of your heart, loving it, and like I toss a glance at Valhyri for a second, who is trying to make sure they don't catch me looking at them as I say that. But this is too much. This is too much. You look like you're about to die.
Their fist pounds down onto the table. But I would give so much for you, Lord. But I would give.
Okay, so just is Taz assuming that this person thinks that they are talking to their lord right this second, or saying that in like a just like an out loud?
It's hard to say. It might be related to the delirium and the pain, sort of generally out loud. Maybe just unable to distinguish because they can't see who is talking to them and what's going on here.
We're not letting you give anymore. We have questions. Things that have to be answered.
They begin to cry again, quietly, and Valhyri steps over to the table, picks up this bleeding figure, looks towards you. I think maybe it's time to go. Back in the present.
Nod.
Yeah. Taz and Awaish. Temple sinks down. There's a pause. And then the token that is sat in front of one of the elves flashes with a golden light. And there's a collective. The elf stands up. Takes their token. and walks out. Lovelace's token glows with a blue light. And the human, one of the humans next to you, Taz, actually, no, wait, not the human. Yeah, let me check. Oish, your token also glows with a golden light. You have won the pot. Lovelace has put in the most money. So the temple sort of slides down, the cards just fall off, and you can see that when you look down at this little resin token, sort of like a gambling machine where it scrolls up, and then a number appears on it. I'll have to calculate the exact total, but it is approximately, I think, 70 platinum that you've won in this first round.
Amazing.
Simon, since he had put in the most money, but actually no, sorry, 50, make that 150, not 70, because he put in more than the highest. So let's see. Yes.
150 platinum.
Yeah.
Okay.
For this next round, let's make things a little more interesting, shall we, friends? I think this time we'll gamble with our abilities. There's a few gasps. People bite their lips in excitement. For this round, the things that you are allowed to put down are ability scores, feats, racial traits. You literally gamble with ability that your character has, and you might be able to win some back. I will tell you, things that you put down, you do have the potential to genuinely lose.
So it can be anything, though.
It can be anything. It can be movement speed. You can gamble 10 feet of your movement speed. It can be 2 or 3 points out of your intelligence modifier. It can be a racial feature.
Could it be a spell slot?
A spell slot.
Or I guess
a spell slot, a known spell. Anything on your character sheet, you can put down.
Can we put more than one?
Yes.
Okay. Now this is something that I need to check with you to make sure that it's all right.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to gamble part of a racial trait, if that's possible.
That is possible, yes.
Okay. Waish is going to... And okay, one last question.
Yes, absolutely.
Modifier or points with ability scores?
Points.
Points, okay.
So if you have like a 13 in something, you could gamble like you could gamble it down to a 12 kind of thing, or, you know.
Right.
I think I will give you guys sort of a round to think about that before we go to the next one. If you want to make, again, any checks like insight perception here to help you with thinking about what you're going to put down, you are still welcome to do that before we push forward.
I would like to do that. I also want to check anything on my character sheet, which
yes,
would that include like my shadow network and the use of it? Like, is that a
yes?
Shit! Holy shit! Okay, yeah. Can I do an insight check, please?
Yes, you can give me. Yeah, you used perception last time. You can use insight here. If you both want to make an insight check, I will allow you to sort of help each other out, or do it separately. Up to you.
I think separate, so bigger chance for we could communicate.
I was gonna say. Yeah, go ahead.
I will say, if you lay it both, this is me just like thinking mechanically, helping y'all out. If you give Taz advantage, Taz has the psionic thing that he can add to his ability checks. Awais, you cannot add that psionic thing, so giving Taz a better chance, and then him being able to add the ability check means that his higher result will still count for both of you.
Okay.
Did that make sense?
Yeah. I'll go for that.
Okay, so yeah, Taz, insight with advantage, and remember that you can add that dice if you would like to.
Hope you have a high insight, bud.
I don't, but hold up.
Yeah.
Sorry. No, wait. 24. 17.
There
plus
it is.
5,
there it is.
plus 2.
And if because you spent the dice, but you do succeed on the check. Oh no, yeah, so you do spend, mark another psionic die that you've spent. Looking around, and this is also in part because you have the psionic link. Again, I'm not sure if you're really talking through it, but you're just able to pick up some signals. Taz, the two humans that are sitting near you, you definitely think are gambling less here. They're going low. You can just pick that up, that they're not putting a lot forward. They seem to feel a little more threatened in this context, which means that you do have a feeling that they don't have very valuable abilities to put forward. So you're not as worried about like putting the lowest in, the like most low. If you anything that you spend that's not just like 1 point of an ability modifier, you'll like 1 or 2 points, you'll probably beat them. But it's hard to tell exactly what they're putting in. So again, you do still have to like kind of gauge it. Same insight check. Lovelace just is so confident, doesn't seem to care about going low. Like you said, insight check from the last time, seems like he is very content to just keep putting, he has a lot to spend. He's trying to be the top of every round.
Yeah, he does.
Not trying to pick up the pot. The other elf, the tiefling one of the other elves had departed. The tiefling seems a bit nervous about this. It's just like a bit uncertain. So yeah, if any of that information helps you out as you guys are thinking about what you're going to spend, keep that in mind.
And the person who wins sets the rules for the next game, but loses what they bet.
Yes.
Okay.
So highest, the person who bets the most, sets the rules. Second lowest gets the pot. Lowest gets dropped.
I hate this motherfucker. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. That is Taz, Oash, Darren, Matthias, and Barden. You're sort of helping Kiara on that same round. So I think this is a great place for us to take our break. We're going to take 10 minutes. Don't worry, we'll get right back into it. I know it's high stakes, but I need to catch my breath a little bit, and I want to make sure we're all doing okay. So we will see you guys back in 10 minutes at 10:05. Bear with us. See you soon.
Be right back.
Welcome
Hello.
back. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So, completely. Oh, we were at the top of the order, Kiara. Ah, yes. So, top of this round. 0. Stepping in to the sand pit here. People are spilling out of the seats. I think you would. I don't know if you would see Kiara since you're sort of ducking down and hiding.
Yeah.
Maybe you're glancing through some figures. Maybe it's Barden who sees this. A dark-skinned woman with long copper hair, wearing armor of golds and reds, accompanied by 2 massive dogs, hunched over, snarling, dripping, and they're both on fire. She looks around. Let me move her into here. There we go. Look at these woofs. Aren't they so cute? My beloved.
They'd be cuter if they weren't trying to eat me.
On fire?
Yeah, they're on fire.
Hot dog.
These are hellhounds.
Thank you.
Oh my god.
Yes, so stepping in, Phi Petra Uthaya, fire guard of the Empire, and her 2 hellhounds.
Oh,
Audience members step back. She pushes past Vanguard, who were like, sort of walking in, trying to control some of the damage. A few of them stop, back away. This is probably a little bit above their pay grade. And I am rolling initiative for these characters. Lovely.
Who is that? I think as they're standing there, Matthias is is gonna turn and see the fucking dogs on fire and be like,
have they?
is this part of the play? And look at Barden.
I don't remember fighting hellhounds. I mean, actually, does Barden know what these are?
I think
I imagine they're in some stories.
They're in some stories. They're also known to be used sometimes by the Empire, so they're not like the most uncommon. I mean, they're uncommon.
Definitely Empire, and I mean, look at that outfit.
I wonder if it's
what they're looking for.
Official business? Maybe I can.
But it's just one of them.
Man.
Oh,
Kind of looks like a hunt.
I'll step forward.
No! Kiara's gonna grab at your foot.
What?
Oh, I'm so sorry for eating at y'all.
Oh, you're fine.
Yeah, but Kiara's gonna grab at your foot and just say, don't detract attention.
What's going on here?
Do you want the long version or the short version?
Okay, by that answer, I'm guessing that it definitely has something to do with you.
Shh. Kiara's just gonna wait.
Okay.
Barden just kind of shifts more so that she's covering whatever eye line that they could have with Kiara. Just like, what the hell have you been up to?
Do we need to get you out of here?
Yeah.
We can... I don't know if we should run or fight or hope they go away.
Fight. Okay.
Let's
maybe
wait.
we can just shuffle here,
Yeah,
and
just-
he's
Stay behind us. It's a sandwich.
Go around so that they're both like Barden and Matthias are like on the step below Kiara, and they're kind of like shoulder to shoulder.
Kiara's crab walking
And
straight up.
he'll just fuck it. He'll just like grab a piece of his cape and sort of like swing his arm up so he's like got his arm over Barden's shoulder. So the cape is kind of like covering everything between.
I like the idea that Barton's just like, oh yeah, what did you think of it? Yes, it was great playing.
Okay, and
as that's
Face is
happening,
turning red in real life.
and start stepping up the stairs.
as that's happening as well, Barton is relaying this to Taz. I think someone's looking for Kiara. I think we're fine for now, but we may need that help at some point. I don't know. I'll let you know. It's fine for now. We got her hid. Good luck with whatever you're doing. There's like a mental thumbs up.
So, Kiara, you can give me a stealth check with advantage on your turn.
Okay. All right. What is my stealth?
The benefit of
Plus
two
one.
fucking tall people hiding the shortest member of the party.
Benefit of tall friends.
Five,
Just a
six.
wall.
To be fair, Barden is only 6 feet tall.
Only
6
6 feet tall.
Oh,
God,
that's
wish
A
that
little
were me.
wider.
Yeah.
There's
We're
a
both
lot going
broad
on.
as fuck.
That's it.
Well,
Y'all are
it's
too
okay,
gay if
'cause
6
my
feet
ass-
is not tall enough.
Well, yes. My ass rolled a 10 and 11. So that's a total of 12.
Okay.
Stealth.
Well,
Listen, something about crab walking in an audience that's probably not very stealthy.
that's true. Maybe you guys are kind of hiding Kiara, but you're also some of the tallest motherfuckers here, like above the crowd walking up. So, that being said, marking that stealth check. Away, sitting here at this table, the high stakes. You're pulled once again into the memory. The gnome on the stage, in the boat, the items up for auction, begins to point, people raising their hands, shouting out numbers. A few attendants begin to pass out drinks as well. Looks like there are, these are the 4 most significant items, but they do start out with a few pieces of art that they like carry onto the stage, and then they auction, and then they, carry off. Some rich tapestries, a cruise ticket kind of thing for cruising around the bay. Moriat doesn't really seem interested in any of that. Bits of jewelry, etc., etc.
As all of that is happening, Oisha's going to try to take advantage of the advantage that they already have.
Mhm.
And will lean in to Moriat and whisper, "Can you guess which one has struck my fancy?"
He looks over at you, sort of leaning in. You said you are a creature of devotion. Let's see.
Very.
Maybe then the pet, the little creature.
I normally direct my devotion towards people. Good guess. And Awaish is going to, as they say this, quietly press to digitate just a slight shine onto the key.
For rain.
No, for Moriat's eye just to be drawn towards it. Kind of like
Ah.
a little mind thing of like his eye gets drawn to it, it becomes his next guess.
Interesting. That's fun. Looks at you. You can tell, like, you have him wrapped around your finger. There's an easy delight to that. More people. Unlocking some doors, then, perhaps?
I've always had a terrible habit of liking to be where I'm not wanted.
It surprises me that you would be unwanted anywhere.
Maybe with you I wouldn't be anymore.
When the betting for the sea creature comes up, Rain sort of still looking at you, lets that one pass by. The wings next. See a small, it's a kobold, actually. A kobold who is wearing like a very fancy gold chest plate, pretty uncommon. Bets and wins the wings. And the key. Moriat moves his hand from your elbow, sort of slides it around your shoulders. You said you would exchange devotion for a sacrifice?
Always.
His hand goes up. Looks like we have... Yes. And how much? Well, all right then. Plutarch Moriat. And he wins the key for you.
Love that.
Yeah. Back in the present. Taz and Oish, what are you betting?
Knowing that these humans are probably going to bet 1 or 2 points of their abilities. Wanting to be that second again, Awaish looks down at their hands, which, even though it's a good day, can't ever get rid of a little bit of it. Calculates the cost of losing something that they've already lost. And bids 2 points of strength and their ability to jump.
Taz?
Jump?
Fuck me.
Spell.
Just to be clear here, is Oish communicating any of this to me, that like you're trying to be that person instead? Like,
I think very tersely after you share that information with them. It's very clear that they are either intensely focused or intensely distracted.
I'm going to I'm gonna bet I want to win. I'm gonna bet 2 points of strength.
Okay.
Or actually, sorry, I'm gonna bet 3 points of strength. I'm gonna bet 3 points of strength. And to a waste in my head, I can't tell if you're on top of everything or something is distracting you, but let me know something changes.
The cards. The temple spins. There's another few moments, conversation, a little bit more terse this time, like people are, can tell the atmosphere is growing more tense. Lovelace leans over to you again, Oish. How much do you have to lose, Oish?
Are you accustomed to losing things, Simon?
I love when you answer a question with a question. No, I'm not.
I am very accustomed.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
It's my opinion that it makes you bolder.
This is true, I think. Desperate people are powerful people.
Only if the desperation breeds power.
I have known plenty of desperate folk who are made clumsy by their hunger.
Do you think I am one of those people?
There's a pause as the temple's spinning, as people are talking. Are you desperate? He nods. Yes. I think you are clumsy.
I do not think you will lose tonight.
No, I have already won such a treat. He leans in a little closer. He whispers to you.
Oh, fuck.
I know who you are, elf. My daughter was foolish to think she could have any secrets from me. You are the snowflake, aren't you? But I thought you were dead.
Wish turns to stone. Her jaw tightens. And she says, clumsy. Not dead.
Yes. And the temple clicks into place. Next in the order. Petra. Scanning the crowd. Doesn't seem to see you, Kiara. The hounds low to the ground, sniffing, smoke issuing off of them, flickering. One of them bounds up towards the stairs on the other side across from you, pushing through audience members who fall back with gasps. The atmosphere, already tense, already energetic, goes from excited to frightened in the split second. People begin to run and sprint, Vanguard pulling out their swords.
Oh boy.
And then Petra, even though she's not sure where Kiara is, reaches towards her own belt. She bears no weapon, but as she pulls her hand up, she pulls out of thin air a gleaming golden rapier. Matthias, it's your turn. And we are in full initiative here, so if you're taking an action, movement, bonus action, that's all you have, just letting you know.
Shit. Okay. Okay. They haven't been spotted yet.
No.
He doesn't know what's going on. But this person has just pulled out a sword And so he is going to, in the interest of keeping Kiara safe, is going to just say, all right, they've pulled out a sword. Let's just keep walking, and is going to just keep on pushing forward, and will maybe we can move a little quicker now that people are frantically kind of moving about. Try and get in with like the vibe of the overall crowd and move a little more quickly up the stairs so they can exit.
Got it. So you can see the problem is that moving up the stairs puts you towards the top.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to actually descend and exit the theater, you have to.
Oh, I thought we could exit through the top.
No.
Shit. Right.
So you can go up to the
where
top.
is the exit?
The exit is just towards the front where these benches are.
Okay, sick.
Okay, so in between, like we have to pass Doggo.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
All right. Let's just shuffle forward. Maybe I can... No. Better, I think, to just try and go. It's not safe to be in this space right now. There are too many people. And so he's going to do the same thing they were doing before, except going in the different direction. Into the pit and towards the exits, moving with Barden to try and shield Kiara from attention.
Got it. So you're helping Kara maintain that stealth check. I'm thinking of that sort of as your action. You and Barden, I will also allow, because your initiative was 4 and Barden's was 3, you guys can kind of move together as you would like. So it is, Barden, your turn if you're doing anything else besides what Matthias is doing.
I think the only thing they kind of do is pull their new shield out and just have it on the outside of the wall. Just, there is 2 giant fiery dogs. This is a reasonable reaction. And just kind of go to Matthias, just like, do you think she'd listen to you? You're annoyed.
I was wondering if it might be good for me to go up there, but honestly, I think I'd rather avoid her notice as much as possible.
Yeah. Let's just keep going.
If she looks this way, I'll go towards her. You keep going with Kiara.
Gotcha. You're right, Kara. You're gonna be fine. I promise. Okay.
Oh yeah. No, I'm okay. I just don't want to be in here anymore.
Oh, we got you. And they keep going.
Okay. So you guys begin to move towards the front here. It is now the Hellhound's turn.
Oh, Jesus.
They have keen hearing and smell. I just rolled 2 1s, a 2, and a 5.
Christ, dude.
For the Hellhounds. So, one of them is still lingering by the front here, like Petra has directed it to trying to prevent people from leaving. So it's sort of like sniffing at people as they like sprint around it, trying to see who will, trying to see if any of them have that fiery scent. The other one, like pushing through the audience, doesn't seem to spy you either. So they're taking their whole actions to try and to sense and guard. You haven't gotten quite up to where that wolf is yet, but you still haven't been seen by any of those people. We're back to top of the order. The countdown has finished here. Petra has already made her way, so there's no more need for that. Kiara, once again, your turn. Same thing, action, movement, bonus action as you
Yes. I think as an action, Kiara is going to... Oh, 1 sec. Yeah, it's an action. She's gonna cast Bless on herself. Yes. So it's attack rolls and saving throws. So on herself, Matthias, and Barden. Not sure what's coming up, but, she's not messing around. The plan is to get out of here, but when do things go according to plan? Yeah, I don't think I have to roll anything on that.
Nope, you just get it.
I just cast it. Yeah. So, yes, once again, Bard and Matthias, you're in front, Kara's behind. I think following Barden's guidance, I guess Kara will put their own shield up, kind of. And it makes sense. Once again, there's a lot of heat emanating from these puppers. Like, it makes sense to kind of want to shield yourself from it. And through the little the casting carve out in her shield, she casts Bless, and Barden and Matthias, you both feel this warmth kind of in your belly and go up your spine. It's like the sensation of like a good whiskey, but like that warming in the chest sensation. But it's beautiful, and it also like gives you just like a little more.
Hell yeah.
Blessed, keep moving.
Yeah.
Next. Ah! Intense. So,
Yeah.
I'll also just say, yeah, Taz, your flashback, I believe, is finished at this point. If there's any other details you would like to add about what happens, you can just let me know. Same thing, like if you interrogate this person, but I'll let you take narrative authority over what happened at the end of that memory.
Yeah, so we walk back upstairs into like a bar with this bleeding and bloody person. I see the person that I'd been flirting with and just give like a half heart, like I'm putting on the show of doing the wink, like I'll be back, but like I'm like Vel can tell I'm not actually feeling it. It's just like, you know.
Yeah.
And I feel like at this point somebody like tries to like stop and interrogate us about what's going on, and I just whip out with the, "You do not want to make an enemy of the Raj. Step aside." And then we keep moving, and I don't think we don't take this person immediately back to like we have I think wherever we are, we have like we have our safe house. We take them back. We make sure they're okay. We're like, and it's like proper protocol. Like if you're bringing somebody back for interrogation, you're probably going to get more with honey than vinegar. But also just like, this feels very traumatic, and me and Vel and I need a second, and this person obviously needs a second. And the lack of eyes means we don't have to hide the hideout. So
Yeah.
I think we spend like a few hours there, if not the rest of the night into the next day, before going back and making sure they're okay, and then taking them to our superiors with like clear understanding. Hey, this is what happened. You've got to be gentle. This was.
Got it. Very nice. Sounds good. So you've gained more information about the Sahara Syndicate. This is a significant moment that helps you learn some more of their secrets, find some more of their hideouts, continue some more of the work that you and Vilhiri have been doing to try and take them down. The past fades away, and you are still back in the present moment. But, Oesh, as Simon finishes speaking to you, you feel Moriat's arm still around you. He finishes bidding on the key. The gnome. Well, friends, it has been an interesting, delightful evening, but we have one more thing left to bet on. Just the seed still remains at the center of this stage. Some people have actually gotten up and left, picking up their items, so the room around here is sparser. Rain is leaning on one of those ladders, still glancing around the room, but eyes mostly looking towards you.
Does it look like Moriat is going to bid on this?
Hard to say. He is still here. He seems to be partially here, enjoying the pleasure of your company, or just taking notes of who else has been bidding. You can, Plutarchs kind of like to know some of those economic things, where powerful items might be going. So, makes sense he would be gathering that information as well. You're not sure.
Okay. I'm going to give you an insight, because I feel like Oesh and First Rain have worked together for a few years at this point, they have some shorthand signals for certain runs and strategies that they use. So Awaish is going to wait, again signaling in a way that Moriat can't quite see since he is the only Plutarch here. And we'll signal that they're waiting to see if Moriat bids on it. If he doesn't, then the two of them will take head on getting this. If he does, they want to run a very specific con that they have done before, where after leaving, they are attacked and Awaish is killed.
Lovely. Okay. Very good. You're able to convey that, I think, just over, the course of some minutes. Rain rolls her eyes again, but nods to you. The sort of a playful scratch at her jaw with one of those sharp claws. Looking forward to killing you. Smiles in thieves' camp.
Kind of shifts and pulls a hand across their chest to say, like, make it real.
Yeah. Final bets, final bids. Moriat is looking towards the seed, his hand sort of playing with your hair on your shoulder. All right. And he does bid. Someone outbids him. He bids again. He shifts under you. Bites his lip. God, but Plutarchs love their games. Raises his hand one more time. And the other member sighs, drops their hand, and the gnome says, Seed of the Wild, sold to our Plutarch. There's some claps.
Excellent game.
Should be an interesting item. We'll find some use for it. Starts to sort of stand up, begin to pack up. He says, well, I have that gift for you, if you would continue to indulge me with the pleasure of your company and your devotion.
I have all that you need and more.
He guides you up out of the ship. Well, steps over, picks up his packages, tucks them into his suit, and begins to step out and guide you out of the ship. You can see the barge has done a long, luxurious circle and is now heading back to the Sotet Marina.
I want to try to pull him somewhere a little darker. And as I do so, say, do you like a taste of that devotion now?
Most people are standing up on the dock towards the front, where the lanterns and lights are, looking towards up on the dock of the top of the ship. So you're able to, I think, sort of where like the captain's area would be, like behind a sail. A little bit darker, still out in the open, but yes, you can do that. Says, now, well, yes, that would be intriguing. Absolutely.
Yeah, just want to lead him into a dark corner to enact.
On the boat.
It doesn't have to be on the ship necessarily. It could be once we exit. I think I misunderstood
got it.
slightly. Yeah.
Yeah, no worries. All right. So then we'll say boat comes into dock. People begin to step off. You have that little conversation with him as you're exiting the boat and stepping back onto the dock. First Rain trailing behind you guys, of course, maintaining a distance to maintain the illusion. And then you're able to pull him aside into an alley as most people are making their way back into the lights of Port Houston Vault itself. So we'll come back around to that. But continuing on in initiative, Taz and Oish back in the present. Click. Shh. Lovelace's token glows again. He has bet the highest. The glow for the highest is blue. His eyes flicker over to you, Oish. And the blue fades from blue. The glow fades from blue into a soft purple color. Then one of the humans glows gold. He's bet the lowest. As he stands up, you see his hands tremble a little bit. He steps out of the curtains. Taz, yours glows gold. You pause, you wait for some kind of feeling. Looking down at your little resin token, there's that sort of scrolling animation again of a tick, 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 tick. And a few different symbols appear on it. And then, Wish, you feel something drain out of you. You are tired. And Taz, you feel stronger. Lighter, almost? Something has changed about you. Maybe a little more charming. You learn a few more spells from this. Your strength will increase. Your charisma will increase. You gain the ability to jump. I think it is once per day. We'll switch that around in a little bit. And I will let you pick 1 feat of your choice as well. So it's pretty good. It's pretty significant.
As they feel this leech, they stare at Simon and say, "As far as you and I are concerned, I have never wronged you. Our only connection was your daughter. We are just 2 people sitting at a table."
This is funny to me, Snowflake. You have not wronged me? No. But you have wronged my daughter.
I did not.
You broke her poor heart.
I did not.
The rules for the next round. We will be betting years.
Oish stands from the table. You don't deserve any more. Not after you took hers.
All right, then.
Set a different rule.
No. Everyone around the table is staring at the 2 of you. You are still playing. Unless you want to back out and lose what you've already gained.
Sit back down.
He smiles at you like a snake. It's your turn. Taz, you definitely pick up some of this. You guys are betting years. You have one more chance to make a check if you would like.
Yes, I'd like to do that, but while I'm doing that, in my head, I'm to Awaish. What is going on? Are you all right?
Breaks the psychic link.
Fuck. And I'm while I'm doing that, I'm looking at everybody else because I'm trying to maintain that I don't know this person. And then for the briefest of moments, I actually look like we just saw something intense happen, so I'm like, it'll be fine. And I look and I'm just like, are you fucking serious with my eyes? And then, yeah, let's.
Are you perception, insight? What are you looking for?
Can I insight? Like I'm trying to pick up like how willing are there's still a human here, correct?
Yeah, one.
Okay, yeah, I'm mostly trying to pick up like how willing how do I say this? I want to figure out how gauge how willing they are to give up a bunch of years, because the Taz it's like, okay, I'll live a while, like I'm this and that, but like the humans shorter lived than I am, and the elves are longer lived, and blah blah blah, and so just kind of gauging trying I'm trying yeah.
I don't know if I was too distracted. That's totally fine. I would also like to try to do that. I'm fine with doing it at disadvantage or something.
Okay. I will, yes, I'll let you do it at disadvantage, and Taz with a straight roll.
Question. So I know we're just doing different things, but so talk to Oish, I'm doing the roll as my action. Do I have a bonus action still technically?
Yeah, you do.
Okay, I would like to use my bonus action to get back one of my psionic things, which I can't do that again until I take a short or long rest. And I'm going to use said psionic on this roll.
Got it. Good to know. Yeah, use your bonus action, that insight with disadvantage, and your insight. What are those numbers?
19.
I got a 13.
Okay. That is a failure. And you guys have been doing excellently in terms of maintaining the illusion of being supposed to be here, being very careful with your rolls. So this is actually your first failure of a roll, which kind of makes sense because in this moment, having stood up and revealed a little bit of your discomfort, your ability to make insight checks about players around the table would be lessened. And it also does maybe suggest that there's something going on here that, are you supposed to be here or not? Sowing that little seed of discontent. But Taz, even though the DCs have been increasing on these rolls because you guys have been making the same kind of checks, with a 19, human is still pretty uncomfortable, but less so than with the abilities. This is a younger fella, so doesn't seem too unwilling to put things forward. 19, something going on between Lovelace and Oish. You're not sure if he's still going to be betting the highest, if he's still going to be trying to reach above and beyond. The tiefling and the other elf are looking back and forth at each other, even though they're not talking, because you guys are anticipating that it's that part of the silent part of the round. You think they're communicating somehow, with that insight. Maybe eye signals or something, they're trying to plan something together. So generally your sense, I'm not going to give you a gauge of years here, but your sense is that you're not really sure who is going to bet the lowest, but there's something going on between the tiefling and the elf that suggests they are maybe working together to plan around a certain number. So
and
there's no magic button to push to know the answers to this. It's too high stakes to even be able to guess.
I have one question. and this is like and maybe Vic doesn't know this. When the rules were set and stuff, if we leave the table before the game's over, do we lose everything we got, or do we just not know yet?
He hadn't actually said, which might have been deliberate, but you did hear him say to OH that if you leave, you forfeit. So the pot will just go back to everyone.
Okay. All right.
Okay, that all being said, you've done your checks. Vanguard, Wish, Darren, Petra. I know you are here somewhere. They can smell you. They're doing a bad job of smelling you. But she pulls her rapier out, begins to twirl it. And she is going to...
Oh, God.
Uh-oh.
Let's see. Unless... Petra reaches up with the rapier, extends her hands out, and breathes out something smoky and dark from her mouth. And around you, an audience member drops. And then another. And then another.
What?
She's casting sleep
Oh, fuck.
on members of the crowd, knowing this is the Petra has spent 6 years researching, and she knows just a little bit about some powerful people from the Empire. So she has a general awareness that Kiara might be a little bit less susceptible to one of her spells. So she's casting sleep on audience members, knowing that more of them will fall for it, hoping to reveal Kiara hiding among them.
That's dirty. That's so dirty.
It's a little dirty. I'm explaining why I'm making a dirty move, considering she has research information.
It's so hot.
I love it.
Fuck
I
that.
love it.
Yeah.
So sexy.
So,
Damn it.
audience members drop around you, leaving the three of you, and she's sort of targeting it towards the front as people are leaving the three of you. There are a few people who are still up, like the crowd is sparser around you, but it does mean that she gets like another chance to look for you on her turn because she's casting this spell.
Shit. All right.
Your stealth was a 12, Kiara?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is not bad.
Drop, and then her eyes shift towards the tallest figures.
Oh no.
Oh boy.
I see you've found some friends to protect you.
Uh-oh.
That was her action. But she does begin to step towards you guys. There we go. So she's about 15 feet from you. Petra's turn. Matthias. Then Barden.
All right. My go. All right then. Well, she's looked in our direction, so that was what Matthias was waiting for. So he is going to, since she has made eye contact and like kind of thrown down a little bit, I see you found some friends. He is going to just like steel-faced and straighten up, square his shoulders, and walk towards her. Kind of like imperiously. He's gonna put on his best like commander foot forward and look around at the people who have fallen and just say, what is the meaning of this? This is your doing, yes?
Yes? As is my right.
You're right. Given to you by whom?
By the Hierophant, the Bane Blessed. Our Lord Tzevi.
You're a little bit far from Lord Tzevi right now. I'm afraid you might be outside of your jurisdiction.
You want to give me intimidation?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yay. Da-da-da-da. Please don't fuck me. You fucked me. God damn
No! Digital roller!
I didn't use the digital for this one. I used a physical one. Damn it. That is a intimidation. That's an 8.
An 8. All right.
I rolled a
It's
5.
not that you don't. It's not that your words aren't logical. Not that they don't make sense, but that her anger and frustration seem to be so intense that she's not really registering.
Yeah, that's
If
probably
it-
my action. Sorry.
Your turn.
Go ahead.
No, you're good. If if my flame sire wanted to care about what the areas I extend my jurisdiction over, then she would not have fled to this salted country. That's her response. That's your turn, Barden.
It's all coming together.
This sucks. I think. God, I don't know. I think Barden's just like. I think if you could just put the hellhounds away, we could probably talk and just work this out without, knocking innocent people out and frightening a bunch of them. This is meant to be a place of love and great joy, and you're kind of ruining the mood.
Barden, you can give me persuasion with disadvantage.
Ah, come on.
Barden calling Petra a wet blanket. Love it.
You threw
Yeah.
off my groove. Ooh, yikes.
You know what sucks is I got a 19, and then I got a 7.
Oh.
7.
The combination of these two charisma-based actions and the fact that they've both failed generally gives you guys a sense that generally gives you guys a sense that Petra is no longer open to methods of communication.
That's not my action, is it?
Persuasion.
Talking?
Usually it's like if it's
will-
a check with talk, it kind of is an action.
Yeah, if you like
Just
it tends
talking,
to be an
not so
action.
much,
I've run different things in different combats. Sometimes I'll let you do a check as a bonus and an action here. But I think because you and Matthias are both like pausing, working with her, doing that a little bit slower, it makes sense
Yeah.
that making the check would be your action in this case.
Updating Taz is a free action.
Good point. Very good point. Taz, my love. Bit of trouble. Appreciate it if you could get here as quick as you can. There are giant fire dogs, and also Empire might be up your street. Could use your charm, I think. And she just sort of doesn't move, just squares herself in front of Kiara.
Okay.
All right then. Just a hand on her sword.
Let's get ready to rumble. The Hellhound on Petra's direction. The one that is closest to you guys is going to attack. I get to run combat. So delightful. That Hellhound turns towards the three of you. Let's see how this guy can move. Put him over 1, 2, 3, 15, 1, 2, 3, 15 feet. He moves up next to Petra. Face the other way. There we go. And he is going to breathe out fire over you guys.
Fuck me.
You're blessed. You're blessed.
You are blessed. Will Matthias, Barden, and Kiara make dexterity saving throws for me? Barden, you have advantage on this because you're a barbarian.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do the thing. I'm gonna channel divinity.
As a reaction. Got
Yes, I'm gonna channel divinity again, and once again, Barden, and for the first time, Kiara, you see these shards of bone vibrate into existence, swirling around you as they sort of chip and dust away in this flame. So you're resistant to all damage until something in my next turn. So this is a, what kind of save is this again?
Dexterity saving throw, please.
Give me that dex save. Oh my lord.
I got an
We have
11 total.
bless, right? We have bless.
Yeah.
You have blessed.
Still an 11
Alright.
total.
And that's a d4.
Yeah. Well, given that, okay, that's not much better. I got an 8.
An 8.
Oh my
All right.
God. 14, 15, 16, 17. I got a 17.
A 17. Nice. So an
the
11,
flames.
an 8. Yeah. All right. Let me roll damage for this. I'm just going to.
So what does your bone thing do?
You get
bone
resistance to all damage until.
nice.
Where is this bitch?
Got
Until
it.
the end of my
So,
next turn.
Matthias, you are resistant and it's halved. So it's 23 points of fire damage. That is halved to 11, then halved to 5 for you, Matthias.
Cool.
So you take 5 points of fire damage, and then both Kiara and Barden, even though you both failed, Matthias's thing gives you resistance, so you both take 11 points of fire damage.
And then I'm also fire resistant.
So you also take only 5.
Woo! That's a chunk. Like
That is a chunk.
Damn.
23 to 5 is pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. So the dog breathes fire out over all of you, slathering, smoking, massive jaws.
Oh, I need to roll a concentration check for my blares.
Yeah, it's just got to beat a 10.
Smart.
All right. Well, I have advantage on con, but that was a 15 plus 2, 17.
Got it.
And I think I get a
17?
bless on that too, technically.
Yeah.
to save.
So you maintain your concentration. The other puppy is the other hellhound. Is gonna do the same thing because they have 50 feet of movement. So,
You hate this stuff.
but you still have the resistance stays up. So,
Man.
will you guys each give me another dexterity saving throw?
I want a
I
dog.
get-
I
Do I
want a
get
fire
another
dog.
advantage on it?
Still advantage. You always have advantage with your danger sense. You always have advantage on dexterity saving throws
Sexy.
against effects that you can see.
Out of 21.
We love that.
21. Got it.
Okay,
Apparently I'm rolling
15
good.
on the die plus 1.
Not 20,
17.
baby!
Eeh.
Amazing.
And 17 for me.
Okay.
It's only 2. Thank you.
Got it. So, 19 halved to 9, halved to 4 points for each of you, halved to 2 for Kiara.
God, that's
So
fucking
Kiara, you
rad.
take, it is the shards of bone that are as like these two dogs like bound towards you, breathing out fire over the three of you. Luckily, most of the people, like the people who were directly around you, had fallen to the ground, so they avoid the flames. They do
God.
not get crisped to crisps to death. Hi, Dad. I love you.
Aww.
Hi, Dad.
Hi, Dad.
I love you.
Love you so much. I'm burning people alive. What was I saying? Yes. The shards of bone around your arms just blacken in the fire, but you do feel them, like they are so intensely cold, the aura around them, that even as the fire washes over you, you each can still feel like your forearms, a sense of cool, a chill that absorbs most of the heat. That is the hound's turn. We are back to the top of the order.
Kiara, this beat is automatic supersonic.
What are you doing, Kiara?
Well, first, Kiara is gonna be like, okay, we're doing this, and going to, I guess, pull the cloak off their head and say to Pietro, I already said this, but my freedom is not on exchange for your. And we're just gonna. You know what? Kiara's mad. You're hurting their friends. We're gonna cast a guiding bolt.
Yeah.
At Petra?
at Pietra. Don't fuck with my friends. All right, let's roll. Let's roll. I am blessed. So, all right. Well, that's an 18 on the die, plus 5, plus 4.
Damn.
That'll very many to hit.
That'll definitely hit. Wait,
And-
give me the total.
What did I say? 18 plus 9, so 26. I can't do math.
26. Okay, yes, that
27?
definitely hits.
Something like that. I don't know. I can't. And then 4d6 damage, radiant.
Okay.
So that's 5 plus 4 is 9, 10. It's gonna be 13 radiant damage. And what you see is, as opposed to Kiara's normal thing where they hide every time they cast a spell, this time they're standing tall, and the shield is up before them. But you're trying to, and I think Kiara is also angry because this is the second time in 2 days that people have tried to use fire to hurt their friends, and fire is life, it's passion, it's pure, and Kiara's mad. And so as she says, you know, my freedom is not yours, she's just gonna throw her hand out, and you see emerge from her hand a bolt of essentially shimmering light that, instead of being kind of on the orange side, almost goes to like a burnished copper bronze.
Ooh.
And
Lovely.
it is going to hit Pietra straight in the chest.
And that was 13 radiant damage, you said?
13 radiant damage.
Okay. And the next person who attacks her has advantage because of the radiant light that's shining around her from the guiding bolt.
Mm-hmm.
She's hit in the chest. The armor that she's wearing takes the brunt of most of it, but you see it begins to glow and sparkle as she stands between her two hellhounds. That is your turn, Kiara. Top of the order. The past. Still pulling you down. Oesh. As you step into a dark alley with Plutarch Moriat, tempting him with your smile. What kind of devotion are we talking about here?
Wish takes his hand, places it on their hip, and looks down at him and says, "Any
down.
devotion you'd like." Casts a small signal outside of the alley.
Mm-hmm. The dwarf, who is much, much shorter than you, you're like, having to lean down to look at him. His silver beard bites his lip, and then you hear a familiar sound of two short swords emerging from hidden holds under a suit. First Rain steps into the alleyway behind the Plutarch with her swords in her hands. She says, "I've been looking for you for a long time."
What?
Plutarch turns around, his hand still on your hip. "I thought you were a bodyguard for the..." Rain steps closer.
Awash steps closer to Moriat as if, tightening their hand on him.
This dwarf does his valiant best to shield you with all of his 3 feet 2 inches. Rain raises her short sword, sneers down at him. "You think that's going to help?" She slashes her sword across the front chest of this dwarf, and you see there's sort of a clang. It bounces off some kind of armor that he's wearing under the suit, but his hand comes off your hip.
Mhm.
I have no interest in whatever petty fights. No, and he like as soon as he is attacked or targeted, he immediately pulls away from you.
Mhm.
Yeah. But I do think if you would like, you probably have a chance to pull that key out of his suit pocket as he steps away.
Yeah, I definitely do that, and I'll do that. Kind of motion to First Rain really quickly, just like give me one, and then go after him. Essentially, yeah.
Okay. Because he's facing away, you're able to do that signal pretty fast. So she steps closer, her tail whipping in delight, tilting her chin, grinning with feral fangs. Says, then run and hide, little lord. You are not the prey I came here for. Hilts your chin up with her blade and pushes it forward through your hair, actually. Looks like it's sliding across your jaw, but a practice movement at the same time as she pushes on your collarbones with two claws, enough to leave 2 little pinpricks of blood, and shoves you down to the ground.
Falls like a commoner.
Then she turns back to the Lord. Are you going to run? He turns and sprints. She looks back.
Sits
Smiles
up.
at you.
You probably could have gotten him unconscious and gotten the seed.
I can still do that.
How quickly?
Let's see. She begins to step out of the alleyway, looking over her shoulder. She says, you take your time. Get ready for me. And if it takes me longer than half an hour, you can finish without me.
Gestures to the 2 points on her shoulder. You've gotten sentimental.
I will rectify it later. And then she takes off after the Plutarch, and the past fades away. Your flashback is complete. We are back in the present moment. What years are you betting, Taz and Oish?
Human looks fairly young. 20.
Taz?
50. And in my head, after hearing that from Barden, I'm going to say, I'll be there as soon as I can, but tell them you are under the protection of Tazriel of the House Imri, the most beloved of the Raj. Hurting you is hurting me, and they know the penalty.
All right. She remembers that, like I do not.
Hey, vibe.
Okay.
And I'm visibly like at hearing that and betting my thing, I'm just like, which I'm sure people might like take that to, damn, I think I'm about to lose this pot, whatever, but I'm just, what the hell is going on?
The cards slide forward. Temple begins to spin. There's another little bit of conversation, but it's quiet this time. The two The two who were whispering before continue to whisper, the human sort of shifting in his seat. Lovelace just chuckling quietly to himself.
Stop it.
He's so funny. I haven't been so amused in quite a while. I was expecting some kinds of interesting entertainment here in the capital city of the illustrious land of Skyholm. But who knew it would take me months of travel to find such an interesting character when I could have stayed right at home.
Weish looks on the edge of asking a question that they can't bring themselves to ask. And then says, tired of taking from the people you should love, came to take from others.
Leans in. Let me tell you a little secret, Snowflake. Everything that I have is willingly given to me. That is what it means to be one of us. Tapping the heart on his suit.
You didn't deserve what she was.
He shrugs. His words don't seem to, your words don't seem to have much of an effect on him. He's just very amused by how much you seem to care. It's a similar energy to the way he's been playing, where he's putting a lot up, but he doesn't seem to care that other people, doesn't seem to care that other people are betting.
Yeah, they see that he doesn't seem to take their words in. And they lean forward and they say, you love games as much as I do? Here's one for you. I am going to make certain that you become very accustomed to losing. And you won't kill me, because you think it'll be fun to see me try.
It would be fun to see you try.
Sits back.
Next in the order. Petra. Ooh, so excited. Petra, with her rapier out, she's right next to you, Matthias, since you had stepped closer to her. So running around you would possibly allow an opportunity attack. I don't think she cares. She's going to push past you, Matthias, to try and get to Kiara. Push past you and then Barden. So if either of you want to take an opportunity attack, you're welcome to do so.
I can't because I already used my reaction.
Got it? Barden, you do have one. Yeah, you did.
Mm-hmm.
How would I do that? I've actually never done an opportunity attack.
Oh,
no. So when So Petra is stepping into your combat range and then stepping out of it. When a character leaves leaves someone's combat range because they're turning your back, you can use your reaction, which you get one of per round, to make a melee attack against them as they leave. So as she like turns away from you and pushes towards Kiara, you can make one attack with your sword if you would like to.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a nat 1. Oh wait, no, that's a 7. That's a 7. That's a 4
Well,
total.
Oh, a
you're
7?
blessed. And you're blessed.
And you're blessed,
And I'm
so you add a
blessed.
d4.
Wait, did you
That's
roll a
mine.
natural 1 on your die?
No, it was a 7.
I
just
see.
read it wrong
One.
because it was on the thing. It was on the edge of my screen.
Gotcha.
13 plus bless.
That's a 1.
Ah.
So 14.
14 clangs off of her armor. She is
Like,
pretty well armored, and she also has a shield along with her rapier. Yes. So she.
Oh wait, wouldn't Barden have advantage because of my guiding bolt?
She does. You do have advantage. You can roll again.
Ooh. Oh, hell yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
nice.
Look at that.
Please. Oh, so that's a
Jesus.
19.
Plus bless.
Oh, that would be the bless I used before, unless I can roll it again.
You can roll it again if you want.
That's still a 19. That's still pretty good, please.
That will hit. You can roll damage.
Dope.
I think if she sees her getting closer, she'll grab that and then both it. She's gonna both it.
Yeah. 2 hands on the sword.
Uh-huh.
We'll play whack-a-mole.
It's a 10.
10 damage. All right. Yes, because the moon is not. All right. So you sort of cut through, slash across her armor. Again, you're not doing a lot of damage. Well, I mean,
More
10
trying
is a
to get
lot.
her away.
We're trying to get her away. You are doing a lot of damage, but she's pretty hardy. There we go. She steps forward to you, Kiara, with this rapier.
Yep.
And she is going to cast Green Flame Blade on her rapier.
Is that an attack roll?
Green Flame Blade is you use a weapon to cast it. So she's casting a spell, but she gets to attack you as part of the casting.
Okay, because given that Kiara is all riled up, Kiara's gonna use her reaction.
Okay.
And what you're gonna see, Barden and Matthias, is for a second, all of Kiara goes up in this copper bronze flame as Kiara casts Warding Flare.
Okay.
And given, I'm assuming that as long as Petra can be blinded, this bright light that emanates from Kiara imposes disadvantage on the attack roll that she's about to make.
What?
Got
That's
it.
so fucking cool.
All right, so she has disadvantage.
Is that a spell or is that an ability?
It's what is it? It's a feature.
cool.
It's a class feature.
Oh
Yeah.
my god. Rad. That's fucking cool, man. Ugh.
God damn. An 11 and a 2. So, swing and a miss. That is her Green Flame Blade attack. She is going to action surge, and then she is going to attack you 2 times with the same rapier. She's not using Green Flame Blade this time, so it won't. The spell vanishes. Right? Yeah, the spell vanishes once she misses with it. So this is the first attack. She's blinded until the end of her turn, or
It doesn't say that she's blinded. It's just a temporary thing. She gets disadvantage, and I can use it 3 times per long rest.
sexy of you. This is the first attack using her action surge. Here we go. That is an 18 to hit.
Yeah.
Okay. And a 21 to hit.
Yeah.
Okay. So those will both hit, and then
You're still resistant because I haven't taken my turn yet.
10 plus 12, right? Plus 12 is 20. So
DM takes time to count.
22 piercing damage, halved to 11.
Okay, it's fine.
And
We're
that,
fine.
she used her action surge, and she is going to use her bonus action for second wind.
Oh my lord have mercy.
Got a 10, and she heals 16 points. Okay, that is Petra's turn. She's right up next to you, Kiara. Fighter's sexy.
Christ!
So
Fighter sexy.
All right. That is Petra's turn. It is Matthias, I believe.
Cool.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
The bones fade away. You get your reaction back. I think
It is
unless it's the end of your turn.
the end of my turn. But yeah, okay. You know, he's gonna take out his longsword, his greatsword, the thing that he uses to hit things. God.
Yeah.
And as Petra runs past, will simply reach over his shoulder and bring down his longsword. And since Barden is closest to Petra, he's gonna turn towards the bitey boys and is gonna face off with these hellhounds. And is going to just swing for one. And is going to go for the one on the... Well, first, actually, I think that he is going to try and move out of, like... you know, the ability to be flanked. So he's going to move and, like, move around.
Are you willing to take an opportunity attack from one of them in order to do that?
Forgot about that. No, never mind. He's not going to do that then.
Okay.
Nope, he's just going to stay right there, facing them, and is going to swing for one. He'll swing for the one that's above.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Come on. Great sword. Oh, my lord have mercy. Okay. Well, do I still have bless?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, I need another concentration check from Pooja because you took 11 points of damage. So beat an 11, and then we'll see if Matthias still has bless.
18.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, so
That's advantage.
that's a 6 on the die. Plus 6 is 12, plus 4 is 16.
That will beat their armor class of 15. So yes.
Oh my god. And so here we go. That's gonna be a 2d6. Here we go. 2d6.
Sexy paladin.
That's a 2. So
Fuck 'em up, Maddie.
5 plus 5 is 10, plus 4 is 19, and I'm just gonna smite. I'm gonna put a little smite on it. So that's gonna be another 2d8. So that was 14 points of slashing damage, and this is 11 points of radiant damage.
Oh my god.
So that is
so in total, 19 plus 11.
25.
19
Yeah.
plus 11?
14
Wait,
plus
19?
11. Yeah. Because you'd had 10, 4.
It was 10 plus 4
Four.
plus 11.
Got it.
So
Okay,
25.
25. Yeah, that is half its health, more than half its health. Yeah, you bring your blade down, like sort of shearing off some of the flames of this thing. You see that like the radiant energy spark around your blade, that cold radiant energy, and just like hissing out like smoke as this thing keens away from you and ducks away from your blade. That is
Real
your
quick.
yeah.
Are they considered devils or fiends?
Yeah.
Are they fiends?
Matthias, you should roll another d8.
I didn't know they were fiends.
They are.
I thought that they were just dogs. I should have
Thank
asked.
you, Paladin Main.
That's another 7 points.
It was big.
Oh, thank you, Meg. Another 7. Yes, God. Plus 7. Good lord. Okay. Well,
That's 32?
yep. 32 points
32 points of damage.
Oh, Matthias. Okay.
Paladin.
Paladin. All right. Yes, that is your turn. Unless
Yeah,
you want to do
and
something
he's
else
gonna-
devastating.
He's gonna stay there and just be interposing between
Okay.
these two folks.
All right, Barden.
Yeah, Barden's going to 1, bonus action rage. Standard.
You know my question. Standard? Okay.
Standard. And she's going to... She's quite close, right?
Yes.
She wants to give her another chance. And she goes, we're under protection of Tazriel from the House of Ainbury, most beloved agent of the Raj. And harming us is harming him. You know what happens.
All right. Because that is you're pulling on a roleplay element, using sort of a backstory feature that Tazriel has. This does allow you to make another persuasion check. It's just flat. It won't be a disadvantage, but you do get another chance.
That's an 18, Mama.
I think you rolled perception.
Oh, perception.
Ah, shit. Yeah, I did. Whoops.
No worries.
Damn it.
But
It's
maybe you can
because
just
of
use the
writing.
roll and add your
You can use
persuasion
the roll.
modifier.
You can use the roll and
The
add your
roll.
persuasion modifier.
That's a 17.
A 17.
Not bad.
Petra does. She's like, brandishing this rapier. She's sort of like just slashing angrily at Kiara. She just pauses for just a second. As she looks over her shoulder, you can see those dark eyes smoking with anger. I take my orders from the same place that agent does. So if he has an issue with me and my actions, then he can take it up with my superior. When I drag Kiara and whatever false agent is shielding her back to the Empire. But even though she's, responding like seems to still want to attack, you did succeed in your persuasion check. There's a sense of doubt. She's starting to pull back a little bit. It's bravado. It's not. You can tell that she's yeah. You've gotten a mark against her in terms of slowing this combat down.
Like, Barden kind of have fun dealing with him and gets ready for the next.
Okay. It is the wolf's turn. They are.
Oh god.
They do have pack tactics. So this is on a bite on Matty Boy for a that was a good roll. 24 to hit.
Yee.
Okay, Matthias, you take 10 points of piercing damage and 7 points of fire damage.
Swan to John if I go unconscious.
The next wolf. Oh, but even with advantage, that is just a 10.
Doesn't hit.
Okay, so that one comes down on your armor. The other one, like the one that you had hit, just like bucks up, like knocking your blade away and trying to bite down on your arm. Even where it's like protected by the scale mail, you can feel a crunch and then another burning sensation. Too familiar because of yesterday. That is their turn. They both have one attack and they're staying engaged with you. So, Kiara, top of the round.
Kiara will, at what Pietro said, first reply and say, the only way you're taking me back is as a corpse. And, I'm not a strong person. We're gonna... Yeah, okay. And then what she'll also say is, and my orders come from a higher source than yours. And will call, as she thrusts her hand out, will say, Agnida is with me, and cast Eldritch Blast. Eldritch Blast!
Give me those attack rolls.
I think this is just a straight attack. But I have less.
Sorry. Oh yeah, straight attack.
Yeah. Okay. 13. Plus 2. 15 plus 5, 20 to hit.
That will hit.
And it's what, just a d10? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do-do-do-do. That's only a 3, but it's force damage.
Okay.
Oh, I forgot to ask.
Mhm.
Was she in melee with me?
She is in melee with you, yes.
Oh shit, then that would have been a disadvantage, right? Because it's a ranged spell attack.
Yeah. Although, if there's a different like cantrip or something you wanted to use because you would know that, it's okay.
I think the only other one I have is I do want to do a warlock one, not a cleric.
Mhm.
This won't do as much damage as usual. Nope, that's also ranged. Never mind. We're stuck with
No worries. Yeah, just give me another roll. If you had, you can still add the same bonuses just to make it fast.
Yeah.
But just make sure you
Where's my
check
d20?
that roll.
Okay. Well, that one's a 10, and then I had +2 +5, so 17.
17 is not enough, unfortunately. Yeah. Well, it's a fighter, you know.
Fair,
She's
fair,
using a shield and wearing armor, and has her rapier, and she has a feat that lets her cast while she's wielding all of those things. So, yep. So the blast just sort of sparks off of her. Her eyebrow just sort of twitch up when you say Ignita.
Yeah.
But sparking off of her. Okay, Kiara, that is your turn. We are back to Tazanawesh for this round. Back to the Duxor. The temple sinks down. There is a heavy, pregnant pause. Azrael, your token lights up gold. You bet the most. This is the last round, but it does mean that you have a chance here. A way to implement a rule that could change the end of the game. You can see that your card, the one that is stuck to the temple, sort of shifts and folds like origami into a little figure of yourself. You step up in miniature the stairs of this temple, and a little gold trophy appears floating in your hands. So you do have the power to make one change to the end of this game if you so choose, knowing that much, but you still lose potential of those 50 years. Oish, your token lights up. You've won the round. The elf and the tiefling curse at each other as you see both of their tokens light up gold. They both bet 7 years, and they both lost. Stand up and step away. But there's a chance. You do see, looking down, you've noticed the way that these little resin tokens will sort of scroll and reveal. And since you're close enough to see it with your passive perception, as you look down, the cards fall to the table, you catch a glimpse. Simon Lovelace has written on his card, 30 years. He looks up at you. There's a scrolling motion on his little resin token. And the letters, the numbers, go from blue to that same soft purple color. Yes. It is so fun to spend what is not yours, to suffer the loss of.
Awaish. Your face pales in realization, further than it is able to. And they say, she's not dead.
Oh, no. Her and her daughter are back at home, safe in Port Oostenwald.
They can't help themselves. Daughter.
Yes. I am a grandfather.
You are sick.
Oh, no. Not anymore. I have someone helping me with that.
They stand up. We're done here?
Yes, Taz.
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but if we
Fine.
leave and call it done, can I still do my rule?
Yes.
I'm
No worries. You'll get a chance to change the rule still. You say, are we done? Lovelace looks around the table. Everyone waiting for a moment. You see a few wrinkles appear on the human's face. Elf and the tiefling don't look too affected. Tazriel, that same strength that you had just gained, there's another sort of pulse or a tug. You feel intensely tired for a moment. Lovelace stands up from the table and says, "We are just waiting for our conclusion, and then yes, we are done." Gesturing to Tazriel.
sorry.
Sorry, can I ask? Well, I'll ask after. Make your roll. Yeah.
So my understanding is any role I can set for this, or
Yes. This is a retroactive way for you to sort of change the balance of what has happened here. Meaning that you could possibly request that some part of the winnings shift in some way. Like you've lost some years, you could request that they shift instead to having lost something else. You could request that things get rebalanced a little bit. You could request that another game, everyone who's played has to start another game. It's a kind of a powerful moment of, even though you haven't been the victor of this round, there is a chance, being this sort of ending victor, to actually tilt winnings more in your favor once again.
and God damn, I would. Okay, it is very clear to Taz that something bad is happening between OH and whoever and this motherfucker, and rather than shift it in a way to give me back anything, because I'm not worried about those 50 years. I would much rather it. Can I make a rule that that increases how much somebody has lost?
Eventually, yes.
Okay, so then my rule will be each person, every the winners, like the head rule makers from the previous 2 rounds, loses an additional 4 times what they bet here.
I will say, speaking to you as your dungeon master, That is an action with significant consequences.
Okay.
Significant consequences. You can still choose to take it, but thinking about this as here at this table, zooming out, Taz, you have a moment where you get to make a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Butterfly effect. If you make this choice, it will come back to haunt you in some way.
Is my understanding that I'm not about to lose 200 years of my life with what I just said?
You're not sure.
Oh, fuck me. Oh, shit.
Because you could. Yeah, I mean,
could.
you're asking, it's the victors 4 times as much.
God, I look over at Awaish, and in my head, I'm like, I wish this bond was still fucking up.
Yeah.
Oh, motherfucker. No. No, I'm just going to... We're not that close yet. I wouldn't do it for you. I wouldn't do it. So I am actually going to say, yes, my rule is I gain 2 years from the previous victors, from the previous round's victors.
Okay.
So at least 2, maybe 4. I don't know how you want to interpret that.
Got it. All right. You make that rule. Feel a pulse. Looking over at Simon Lovelace's face. And you see faint wrinkles appear under his eyes for a second. And then they fade away. And Oish, you are shot through with the realization like a lightning bolt to your spine. A pain as intense as any you have known before in your life. A pain that spreads into a deep numbness that scares you even more than the sensation before it. You know 2 things now. The first is that Tyra is alive. And the second is that Simon Lovelace will never feel pain, will never be wounded, will never suffer consequences, especially not at your hands, for as long as that fact is true. That he has some way, some method of tying not only his life to Tyra's, but his well-being. That 40 years later, thousands of miles away, by playing this game, you are still hurting her.
Wish clings on to the last hope of something that they have and says, "Whose child? Who is she with?"
Why would I tell you that?
Because it would hurt me.
A young and noble I selected for her.
Awaish leaves the room.
I think that even though we're still in initiative, we have more things to resolve, considering how much time we have. I think I would like to end session there. making sure we have time to wrap up and discuss what has happened. So we will come back in 2 weeks, still in initiative, to process everything that has occurred in this very, very intense session. Thank you guys for joining me. Thank you everyone for watching. And we will see more of what happens here at the Pocklefest Theater and the Cordial Duxer next time. Thank you for joining us.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.